as usual, here are a collection of stories with something off about each one. Try to figure out what it is, and leave your guesses in the comments below. Story 1. Taking out the trash. This morning, I was awakened by banging and clattering. My wife was downstairs making breakfast. She doesn't usually make this much noise. I went downstairs to the kitchen. My wife had her back to me and she was cutting something up in the sink. I said good morning, but she ignored me. Then I remembered what happened last night. My wife caught me cheating on her, and we had a violent argument. So today she must be giving me the silent treatment. How long can that last? I sat down at the table and asked her when breakfast would be ready, but she continued to ignore me. Then I looked at the clock. It was almost time to go to work. I raced upstairs and hurriedly changed into my suit. When I came back down, my wife was out in the garden doing something. I always take out the trash before I go to work, so I grabbed the big plastic bag in the kitchen. It was unusually heavy. She hadn't just double-bagged it. She'd used about 4 or 5 black garbage bags. I dragged it out to the end of the driveway and left it on the curb. It was so heavy. I wondered what was in there. My curiosity got the better of me. I untied the knot and took a look inside. Story 2. Apartment building. There's an old vacant apartment building near me. The city is planning to demolish it soon. I often pass by it on the way home from work. A number of people have committed suicide there by jumping to their deaths. Because of that, they say the ghosts of the suicide victims still haunt the building. At night, the area is quite eerie because there are still no streetlights. One night I had to stay late at work and it was almost 11 p.m. when I was walking home. I was passing by the apartment building and it was creeping me out. Just then I looked up and spotted a shadowy figure on the roof. I thought it was a ghost. My heart almost stopped. Then I took a closer look and I could make out a person standing there on the roof. All of a sudden the person jumped. I watched as the figure fell to the ground and landed with a sickening thud. It was horrible. I rushed over and saw that it was a woman. She was lying in a pool of blood on the concrete. Her head was split open and her arms and legs were twisted at odd angles. I immediately called an ambulance on my cell phone. The whole thing upset me so much I was shaking and I thought I was going to be sick. Some people must have heard the sound of her hitting the concrete because when I looked up, people in the apartment building were leaning over their balconies trying to get a look. Soon the ambulance came and took her away. When I got home, I couldn't sleep a wink. I couldn't get the memory of that horrible scene out of my mind. Story 3. Argument. There was a married couple who lived in an apartment building with their young daughter. The husband and wife never got along and were always arguing. One day they started to quarrel over something small. Their daughter was sitting on the windowsill listening to them shout at each other. The argument turned into a big screaming match. The daughter couldn't stand to listen to it anymore, so she left. When the parents realized their daughter was gone, they looked out the window and saw her outside. They felt very guilty, so they followed her. Story 4. Curse. I found an ancient book on black magic. It explains how to put a curse on someone. This is what is written in the instructions. If you follow these steps exactly, the curse will be placed on the person of your choosing. However, if you make even one small mistake, the curse will be placed on you instead. So be careful. Do you still wish to proceed? Of course I do. I have an enemy. There is someone who I hate with all my heart, someone I wish would die horribly. I want to place a curse on that person. That's why I search for this book of magic. I want this curse to work, so I will follow the steps exactly. Step 1. Close your eyes and imagine the face of your enemy. That's simple. I couldn't forget this person's face even if I wanted to. Okay, what's next? Let's see. Step 2. Imagine the curse you want to place on your enemy and what it will do to them. I want this person to suffer the worst kind of pain imaginable. I want them to be suffering so much that they wish they were dead. Alright, what's the next step? Step 3. Open your eyes. Story number 5. Bathroom. I don't like using the bathroom at night. I don't know why, but I have the strangest feeling it's haunted. My wife says I'm just being silly, but it gives me an unsettling feeling. Last night I woke up around 3 a.m. and noticed that the lights were on in the bathroom. I cautiously opened the door and went inside. I was half expecting to see some kind of hideous ghost or have some monstrous creature pounce on me, but nothing happened. The bathroom was empty. I turned off the lights, unlocked the door, and went back to bed. In the morning, my wife told me she must have forgotten to turn the lights off. Story number 6. Mountain climbers. There was a group of 8 college students who all belonged to the mountain climbing club. One day during the winter, they decided to climb the tallest mountain in the area. During the ascent, the weather took a turn for the worse. They ran into trouble and were stranded near the top for 2 weeks. Eventually, a rescue team managed to reach them. There were only 7 survivors. They were airlifted to a nearby hospital. After a few days, 6 of them made a full recovery, but the 7th survivor was so traumatized by the experience that he lost his mind and was put in a mental hospital. The police questioned the remaining 6 about what happened during the 2 weeks they were stranded on the mountain. They asked about what happened to the missing climber. He just wandered off and never came back, they said. The police questioned each of the 6 survivors and they all told the same story. Then, they went to the mental hospital to question the 7th survivor, but they couldn't get any sense out of him. When they asked him what happened to the missing climber, he just kept banging his head against the padded walls and repeating over and over, 8, 8,